Hi. I have decided to start a YouTube page about reading. Reading behind the attic wall today. This was my favorite childhood book published. It's by Sylvia Cassedy. There we go. And it's one of those kid ghost stories, which is pretty cool. Published in 1983. And it's a pretty cool book. It's got that lovely large printing that, where we go, large printing that actually reads pretty quickly. And we will start with Chapter 1, Part 1, Prologue. Glasses off. Today was the anniversary, May 14th. Last year they had all promised one another that they should meet again on this day and on every anniversary forever. Now look, 1 year later and she was hundreds of miles away, sitting alone in a small room, leaning her forehead against the window, doing nothing, mostly, while they, the others, were... What were they doing anyway? Celebrating, probably. Celebrating without her, sitting at the table just as they had all sat last year, sipping ice cream from the edges of those tiny spoons and eating bits of cake from those little plates, laughing. In a little while they would go out into the garden and unwrap their presents among the roses, except that without her there couldn't be any presents, no new ones anyway. And last year's had been ruined the day of the party. Come to think of it, without her there couldn't be any cake either. Afterward, they would get up from the table and play games. Maybe they would play the same game they'd all played a year ago, the one that was the first and the last they had ever played together, all of them in that room next to the garden, Blind Man's Bluff. Maybe not. Maybe they would decide against it, remembering her, remembering that she was no longer there to play it with them. She stared out the window. Maybe the others had forgotten the anniversary altogether. Maybe they were spending the day as they always did, walking out among the roses, reading aloud from the newspaper, passing the bread and butter at tea time, saying crazy things. Maybe they had forgotten her. Maybe... She rubbed her breath from the window with her fist. There were no roses in this new garden. It was hardly a garden at all. Just a backyard, really. And instead of a set of wicker furniture grouped in front of a wall of flowers, there was a single aluminum lawn chair with reverse. It was hardly a garden at all, just a backyard really. And instead of a set of wicker furniture grouped in front of a wall of flowers, there was a single aluminum lawn chair with nylon webbing that had begun to fray and that left scratches on the backs of your knees. The two little girls playing in the prickly grass caught sight of her face now and were smiling those smiles she had learned, after almost a year, to like. To love, really. Funny, crooked, friendly smiles. In a moment, the two little sisters, her sisters now, because she had finally begun to call their parents mother and father, would be up in her room. "Tell us about Adelphi Hills," they would say. "Tell us about the old house and the scary rooms and the great big garden. Tell us about your first day, about how you went into all those rooms and took all the stuff that didn't belong to you." They always asked that. "Tell us about how you got caught in the garden with the necklace and all those other things." And she would tell them. She would tell them about how she arrived at Adelphi Hills with everything she owned stuffed into a duffel bag. She would tell them about the parlor with the little china ballerina locked behind glass doors. And she would tell them about the garden with the broken swing, broken by her. And the birches leaning against... Try it again. And the birches leaning like ghosts against the sky. She would tell them about taking things that weren't hers. She would even tell them about the empty room and the unused schoolroom with its rows of desks bolted to the floor. But she wouldn't tell them everything. She wouldn't tell them about the anniversary. And she wouldn't tell them about the other room and the other garden. She wouldn't tell anyone about that, ever. Not perfect. This is a start. I'm not going to edit. I'm just going to make things happen as they are and accept them. And that is the prologue for Behind the Attic Wall. If you want more of this read aloud by Sylvia Cassedy, you can look for the next video. And